If you need help managing your spending and income in a really easy way that doesn't require any applications or subscriptions to apps or anything like that, this is the perfect video for you. I'm Tara, I'm a fashion, lifestyle, hair content creator, and I wanted to come here today to actually talk about something that's a bit different than my normal content, and that's something to do with like finances and spending and managing all of that. I also just want to preface this video by saying this isn't financial advice. I know for a lot of people it is really difficult to know where to start when it comes to budgeting and managing your spending and kind of seeing like where you may be spending a bit too much money in certain categories or areas of your life that maybe you want to pull back on a bit. So I'm going to take you through a template that I have been using for the past few years, and it has been so helpful. Firstly, like managing myself as a business and a freelancer, I do client-based work with sponsors, so it means that I have a lot of things to manage, different income coming in at different times, how I'm managing all these jobs, and also just tracking all of my spending. But before we jump into the video, I designed a collection with Casetify and I want to share this quickly with you. I designed 4 cases and they are available online at the moment, and they're only available for a limited time. So if you guys want to check it out, please feel free to. I'll link it below. So the template that I'm going to be showing you in this video is completely free, and it's something that I've designed myself and that I have used consistently for the past, I'd say 5 years now. You don't have to sign up, it's just like a Google Sheets template that I've put together. If you guys want to support me, you can subscribe and check me out on my Instagram and TikTok for other content that I make. Leave a comment below if you found this video useful, and I'd really appreciate that. I shared this template on Instagram maybe like 3 years ago, and I've had people message me to this day saying that they still use this and it's been so helpful for them. So I thought I'd make like a full YouTube video like running through how I use it, what I use it for, some tips for saving, and just being more mindful about your spending. So satisfying to me to be able to save money and like see my bank account increase. I'm not a big spender. I really don't like to spend money where it's not necessary. I'm gonna have my template up on my lap here, so if you see me looking down, that's what I'm looking at. I'm just gonna run through it quickly. I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory, but just to give it a rundown, I have my main categories on the right hand side. You guys can change that to what fits you best, but those are just like the main things that suit me, and I've color coordinated them, and this kind of just helps me track everything easier. I also have an other tab, so anything that doesn't fit into my main categories kind of just goes under the other tab. Below that, I also have an income section as well. So I track everything on this one sheet, and I do this monthly. So each month we'll get a new sheet. For example, this one will be April 2025, and everything from the 1st of April to the 30th of April will go onto this page, and then each month I'll create a new tab down below. I've included like a blank one so you can just copy that and you don't have to like redo the whole layout again. On the left we have the date, description, the amount, and any notes that you may have about that purchase that you want to keep track of. I don't necessarily add notes to everything, but for example, I mix my company and my personal stuff all in the same month, so I don't have separate documents for my company spending and income and my personal spending and income, but I'll write in the notes column paid to my company, for example. So basically every single purchase or income coming in, track it. No matter how much it is, like it could be 50 cents and I'll still do it. This just holds me accountable and makes me have an idea of how much I'm actually spending and not just rounding up or rounding down. And I try and keep on top of this because the longer you go without filling it in, the harder it is to keep track of like what you're actually spending and earning. So try and do this at least like once a week. It doesn't really take that long. Like if you're keeping on top of it, it'll only take you like 5-10 minutes at most. But yeah, you just got to do it like every few days or every day even. And I find every day is just the easiest because then you only have to input like 2 or 3 things. Okay, so starting off, for example, I bought a black dress, so I'm going to input the date, where I bought the dress from, how much it was, and then that's it. I also happened to get paid on that day, so let me type in either where I got paid from, or if you have a consistent employer, type out your job name and where that came from, and type out how much you earned. And then we have some subscriptions. For example, I have a Spotify subscription or an Adobe subscription. So after you type that in, you can categorize it by highlighting the 2 cells that you've just written and color coordinate it to match the categories on the right. I have a Mac, so it might be a bit different if you don't have an Apple computer. You may just have to see how to do this. To add up all the cells and multiple cells at once, I'll show you guys. To add up cells, you want to double click on the cell and type in equals sum bracket, and then on an Apple you click command and hold that while you click the cell, the dollar amount that you're doing. So for example, with the black dress purchase, I'm going to click the cell where it says $50 on the left hand side, and then you close the bracket. And if you're doing two cells at once, basically start off by doing the same thing. So you do equals sum, open bracket, and then hold down the command while you click all the different cells that are applied. So I'm going to click $5 and $15 and then close the bracket. I honestly don't really have a big Excel knowledge, so this is like the bare minimum basics that you need for this. If you have, for example, like 3 transactions all in a row and you don't want to have to click every single cell, you can do equals sum, open bracket, command, and then let go of command and do shift and then click the bottom cell and then close the brackets, and that sums up everything in between the top and bottom cells that you've selected. Now for income, you're going to do the exact same thing and just select your income so it's there. And below income, I have total savings, so I can track how much I've earned versus totally spent and what I'm fully saving from that this month. All you have to do for this cell is do equals command, select the income cell dollar amount minus the total dollar amount cell from all your spending, and then that will be your total savings for that month, and you can just keep updating that as you go through the month. Pretty straightforward, right? I feel like the hardest part is just understanding all the Excel codes, but once you get the hang of that, it's super easy. So on the third tab of this document, I have an incomes tab. And this is basically what I do for each financial year. From my monthly spending and income, I copy and paste the income and paste it onto this income sheet with the date and where it's coming from. If you have multiple income streams, this is really helpful to also color coordinate. If you only have one income stream, then super easy. You just like copy and paste it there and it keeps track of what you've earned. If you want to categorize it, you can with the same formulas, and then you can see what your total income is. So that's basically it for my spreadsheet template. You can just keep copying and pasting these different tabs. If you are a freelancer like me and you have lots of different jobs from different clients coming in, also use my sheets to keep track of any jobs that I have, when I've invoiced them and when I've paid them. So feel free to skip this section if you're not a freelancer and it's not relevant to you. Okay, so basically I have a tab called FY 24 to 25 or whatever year it is, jobs. I have a paid column, invoice column, done column, which is for if I've completed the job or not, who the client is, if there's an agency, what deliverables I have, how much money I am earning from that job, and any notes. So the first 3 columns aren't really relevant till a bit later into the job cycle. Client to notes is super helpful for keeping track of what jobs you have, are in progress, and potential jobs that you have in the mix. I will write down any jobs that I'm in conversations with the agency with, and that really helps me keep in line because sometimes I just forget that I'm talking to an agency because it'll be super delayed in comms. I'll just have it there and be like, oh yeah, I have that job potentially coming up. Let me email them and follow up with that. And that just helps me keep in line. Once all of that stuff is sorted, my done column is for when I've completed the job. So I'll just add a tick. For the invoice column, I basically just write the date that I invoice them. And once I get paid for that job, I put a P there so I know that that job's been paid and I don't have to chase them up for payment once the time comes to that. It makes it so much easier to just be organized in the work that you're doing because especially as a freelancer, it's so hard to stay on top of like the jobs that you have, especially if it's like a busy period. I don't want to make this video too long, but to end it, I thought I'd share some like money saving tips that I have and that I've applied through different stages of my life and even to this day now. So firstly, if you are a student, make use of all your student discounts, whether that's a transport student card, concession card, or like when you're buying tickets to things like art galleries, use a concession card. Like it makes such a big difference in Sydney specifically. If you have a concession card for your university or like higher education, you get half of transport and like you get double the amount of trips that an adult opal would get you. If you feel like you're eating out a lot, just cook at home. I know that cooking can be really difficult, but just try really easy recipes. Like you don't have to be a chef. The more you practice, the easier it gets to cook. Another one is be a conscious consumer. I feel like with fast fashion being a huge thing, the clothing is really cheap, for example. You don't need everything. Like you really don't need it. Like even if it's like $5, really think about what you're buying because at the end of the day, I feel like a lot of us have way too much. I know as a fashion creator, like I have a lot of clothes already, so I have really gotten into the mindset to be more conscious about what I'm consuming because I don't need more. Like I already have everything that I could want or need. And also another big tip if you're a big shopper is if you don't look, you don't know what you're going to be missing out on. So as someone that like tries to reduce their consumption, I literally just don't look in the first place. I rarely will scroll online looking at websites of clothes to buy, things like that. I literally just don't look, and that means that I don't feel the need to have anything because I actually don't know what I'm missing out on, and it forces me to like wear and use what I already own and have. If you are a books buyer, go to the library. I am such a big advocate for libraries, especially in Australia. We have such a great library system over here. Like, it's free. 90% of the books that I want to read, they have in the library, and you can reserve them and they'll send it to my local library and I can just pick it up when it's available. It's so good. I'm so here for buying books that you know that you will love and want to keep, but I also don't think it's necessary, especially if you read a lot, to buy every single book that you want to read. The library is so great, and if you love a book that much after reading it, you can always just go ahead and purchase it after. And another option is also to buy secondhand books online, or you know, just like in op shops or markets. When I used to only ever buy books and never go to the library, I used to always buy my books secondhand from, I think it was like World of Books or something. And that was a great way to reduce how much I was spending on books and then also give the books another life. Another saving tip is to open a higher interest saving account or term deposit. I feel like this is such a great way to hold yourself accountable and not just like take out of your savings when you want to. It will encourage you to grow your savings and also like just not touch it in the first place. For example, I have a high interest savings account, and every month you have to make 5 transactions from your bank account, but then also you will have to increase the account. So I usually increase it by like $5 because I usually just do like a lump sum transfer into there, so I don't really need to grow it heaps. So if you have a consistent income, it's a bit easier. Say you want to save 20% of your income. As a random number, let's say you make $1,000 a week, so you want to save $200 of that. So every week, transfer $200 of that into your high interest savings account and then don't touch it. You remove anything from that bank account, you're not going to receive the interest for that month. And I feel like that will just help you keep accountable. And then with a term deposit, it's a little bit different because you usually can't take money out of it once it's in the term deposit. So definitely like look into different banks, see what requirements they have for having these different accounts, and then also a term deposit, because it really just depends on the bank. But yeah, I feel like those are really great ways to just make sure that you don't touch your money. I feel like this is a common one, but budgeting. There are a bunch of budget videos on TikTok and YouTube that you guys can look at, but to summarize it and keep it short, you can set yourself a monthly budget for each category that you've listed on your spreadsheet that I've linked. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm going to actually add a budget column for you guys, and you guys can basically like type in the amount that you want to budget for each category each month, and this can like change for each month. It depends, it's up to you. But for example, you want to budget $200 for food for that month. Like, that way, if you're consistently updating your spreadsheet, you can see if you're getting closer to your budget amount. I feel like those are all the tips that I can think about on this spot. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope this was helpful, and if you end up using the spreadsheet, let me know how that goes. I love saving, and I hope we can all grow our savings together. If you guys want to keep up with me, feel free to subscribe, and you can also follow me on Instagram and TikTok at @tarachandra_, where I post fashion, hair, lifestyle content. I hope to see you guys again soon.